Hi there, it's Rachel Martin, and you're listening to Parenting Teens Podcasts. 27th of January, Parent Mental Health Day. Who knew? I didn't, but now we all do. So to help you with your mental health as parents, I've created some videos that cover some of the common issues that we all come up against. How to say no without the headache and the meltdown from everybody in the room. And ways so that you don't feel as though you're always the enemy and everything that you say is wrong. Things you can do for your mental health and why it's so important that you look after it. For the sake of yourself, but also your children. I've invited along a friend of mine, NICKI Saunders, who's a therapist and a parent of two as well, where we're going to discuss these issues and hopefully give you some ideas and tips that can help you look after your mental health. It really is important. I hope you enjoy them.
With everything that you say is wrong, I think we have to remember that children's brains aren't connected like our brains are. And therefore, in their heads, it does sound wrong. It genuinely does sound wrong. Yeah. And again, it's about respecting that and not getting frustrated with them. They may look, for example, a teenage boy, my 18-year-old, 6'1", massive, looks like a grown-up. His brain doesn't operate as a grown-up in the same way. It's getting there, but he doesn't think in the same way as the average adult does. And it's about respecting that. That's not his fault. He's developing. He's a developing human. And younger children, it's even more so. So actually, they don't understand what we're talking about. So often we have to articulate ourselves in a language that they do understand and be much more basic about what we're saying to them rather than using adult language. But it's respecting their emotions as well. You know, if they're saying, well, you know, I hate you because I don't want to tidy my bedroom, blah, 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 blah. It's like, well, okay, respect the fact that they're just angry with you because you want them to do something they don't want to do. That's all right, is it not?
So good question. Is it all right? So often the answer is, I don't want to be a bad person. I don't want them to dislike me. And I think actually it's taking the step aside of like, it's okay for them to be angry at you. It's okay to tell them something that they're not going to like.
Yeah. That's
actually part of the job that you have to do. Yeah. How you manage that feeling it brings in you when they lash back, different kind of fish.
Yeah.
But I think it is that, like you say, that understanding them, how they feel. And I love the fact as parents, we always look for logic.
Yeah.
Like, if I can give them all this logic, it will make sense. It's like anything like anxiety, all that stuff. Half the time there's no logic attached to it. No. And they know that there's no logic attached to it.
Yeah.
It's just them, how they feel at that moment. You know, and I know it's not going to kill me, but I'm still scared of it.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's okay. You know, especially from an emotion perspective, it's important that we validate each other's emotions, and children, their emotion regulation is all out of kilter. Even as teenage boys have got 20 times more testosterone than adult men. So of course their emotions are going to be dysregulated, you know, but let's respect that, you know, and try and navigate our way through that, because in theory, and this isn't always the way it is, in theory, our emotions should be regulated. But of course they're not, because we often are dysregulated in childhood. So therefore, by default, we're dysregulated as adults. But with young people, they're on their first journey, you know, and so they're definitely not going to be regulated. So it's our job to just back off a little bit.
Give them that chance, definitely, that opportunity to experience.
Yeah.
In that, nicely led in, adults being dysregulated and being unable to deal with your own emotions, or, you know, that's it, I just lost it, all those kind of things. When we have a lot of stresses in life, and a lot of things going on, and it can just be sometimes the final nail in the coffin, I guess, and it causes us all sorts of issues. How do you think looking after parents' mental health themselves, what difference that can make for kids, and if there's a link between the two, which I suspect, well, in fact, I know there is, but I'll let you go through this.
So we're talking about modelling.
Yeah.
So if we are modelling a positive mental health to our children will naturally develop a positive mental health. If you think about it, children are copying everything that we do. So if we've got a positive mental health and a healthy mental health, they are likely to copy that, because they will learn what our coping strategies are for stressful times. And, you know, I think this is a really good time to be thinking about, well, what provides us with a positive mental health. So sadly, it's not as much as alcohol can often feel like it's something positive at the end of the day. Sadly, alcohol creates more anxiety and it creates low mood, which is usually one of the reasons why we drink in the first place, because we've had a tough day and all of those things. But I think if we're doing things like exercise, and I know that might sound boring for a lot of people, but my God, the endorphins that it actually throws up for us. Let me tell you, I've exercised probably 12, 15 years of my adult life. So not massive, but, you know, enough. And I would love to say that my children were really sporty because I was in the gym all the time. And they were learning. No, they were still on the sofa with their bag of crisps. But both of them actually go to the gym now. So I've got a 22-year-old and an 18-year-old. Both of them are avid exercise people. In fact, my 18-year-old openly states how much mentally he feels so much better for having been in the gym. So I think, again, had I never been somebody that exercised, would they go down that route to manage their psychological and physical well-being? Maybe not. I don't know. So it's just recognizing things like that. Meditation can be really good. Don't let the word meditation scare you. We're talking about breathing and being in the moment. We're not actually talking about any of this necessarily.
You have to say it though, because
you do.
To be honest, at the minute it is getting better. The stuff out there for meditation is a lot better than it used to be. But you don't need to be a Buddha or able to sit perfectly still for 25 minutes to be able to do it. There is
exactly, but it's the little things in life that bring you joy. So that's all about the mental health. So that might be, you know, you might be an avid reader, you might not be an avid reader but would love to be one. We'll be one then. Make it happen. You know, your mental health, our mental health as parents is so important to how our children observe us, and actually whether or not they get the best from us, because if our mental health is poor, the chances are they're not getting the best version of us, because we're not getting the best version of us. And the other thing, one of the biggest things I think, is to remember that we can be our own best friend or we can be our own worst critic. And the way I see us is that we are absolutely unique. If we were in a shop, in a handmade shop, we'd be worth thousands, because there's only one of us. There's only one of us. We are so unique. There is only one of us. So it's remembering that, you know, we're doing the best we can in life with the tools that we have. And yes, we can, you know, brush up on those tools. If you want to be a better version of you, then make that happen. Work out what that looks like and work towards it. But remember that being your own worst critic is only ever going to bring your mental health down. Be kind to yourself. You know, what's the bad about you? You know, generally, most of us are pretty all right. We've got good intentions. So remember that, you know, we might be a little bit more, we might not be, our physical might not be where we want it to be, or we might not have the job that we'd really like, but we're quite incredible as humans. Look at what we do every day. Look at what we've produced in children. It's incredible. So be kind. I think the message is just be kind.
Love that. I'm feeling all couture. Martin Couture, I tell you, there is no more. Thank the Lord. But it definitely is that you just have to appreciate. Yeah. You can choose to look at the good or the bad, can't you? Yeah. That is a choice in your head which way you want to go. And just because it's always been you've looked at the bad, and there's many reasons that might be, that you can find out in a bit of help, bit of support, maybe a program, who knows? Maybe, yeah. But But that is a choice that you make, and it's
Absolutely.
a choice that you make every day. So it can be as simple as that. And I love that you're exercised 12 years. That's all right.
It might be a little bit longer than that. I can't remember, actually. It feels like forever, but I can't say forever, because I know that in my 20s I was drinking far too much and doing all sorts of things I shouldn't have been doing. So I'm not going to say that.
I definitely did that bit. I never gravitated towards the lots of exercise thing then.
Oh, yeah. Well, but then you're not as old as me either.
No, I am wrinkly, to be honest. I chose to get creative. I do my nails. That's my thing that I do for myself. I don't run in the gym. Not just yet. But interestingly, like you said, though, these are my kids. They're all very creative in their side of things, of how to calm down. So it does eke through with what you learn and what you teach.
Absolutely. And if we have negative coping mechanisms, the chances are our children will pick up on that as well. So if we drink heavily or we smoke, the chances are they're likely to drink and smoke. And this isn't about blame and retribution. That's what we've got to remember is this is just about we've come from different generations, and the behaviours just bounce down the generations. So it's noticing what we're doing and why we're doing it. If we can notice what we're doing, we then have the power to change it, because knowledge is power.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is that choice piece, because it feels as though you don't when you start with it. It feels instinctive, it feels all a part of who you are, and actually the reality is, with a bit of time and a bit of want to see the truth that's behind it, because we can all kid ourselves. I think it can make such a big difference to us and our kids. And that's kind of what today was about. So thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome.
Awesome.
The biggest thing is be kind to yourself. Just be kind.
Yeah, try to at least. It's a nipsey bit of effort. Start somewhere.
So that's the end of the Parent Mental Health series. I hope you found it enjoyable, and if you've got any questions at all, or you'd like to hear some information about Nikki's parenting programme, please do just drop me a message, or Nikki's details will be across all the social media as well. It really is important you look after yourselves, and as we've said, this really isn't an easy journey, so be kind to yourself, and remember that self-care. It's just as important for you as well. Thanks for watching. Well, that's it for this episode, and if you're hearing this message, that means you've listened all the way to the end, and for that, I really want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. It really does mean a lot to me. As always, if you have any questions, suggestions or feedback, please do get in touch. I honestly love to hear from anyone who's been listening. You can find me at My Inner Strength for my website, or through Inner Strength on Facebook, or Parenting a Teen on Instagram. Really annoyingly, someone had already taken Inner Strength. Anyway, I will always reply, so please don't hesitate to get in touch. I hope you've enjoyed this episode and found it informative and useful. If you did, please don't forget to subscribe to my podcast so you don't miss any future episodes. And if you're feeling really, really lovely and you're listening via Spotify, you could leave me a review, which would mean the world to me. Thanks again for listening, and please do let me know if there's anything else I can cover that will help you whilst you're parenting your teen. Have a lovely day.